Sonic Forces. Well, I finally played the game I've been railing on to my friends a week or so ago on stream, and unfortunately, my time with the game was not stellar, to say the least. I don't think I've ever played a game that I go into with such low expectations, only to find that the game itself is worse than people on the internet say. I can now confidently say that I believe Sonic Forces is the worst 3D Sonic game to come out in years. No, I am not kidding. From its dull and shallow gameplay, milquetoast side content, painfully average presentation, and absolute insult of a story, this game is a colossal disappointment the likes of which have never been seen since Sonic 2006. Now don't flip your shit, I'm not trying to say this game is as bad as 06. I'm trying to say that in the context this game was released to, made it a huge disappointment for even the most hardcore of Sonic fans. But I'm getting way ahead of myself here. This game is, oh geez, almost 3 years old now. I've had time to form an opinion way before I even played the game. Now that I've actually have played it, I'd like to share my new opinions with you today, because despite all of the autistic ranting I'm about to do, I did come away from the experience with more positives than I thought I would. I'm warning y'all, this is going to be a long video. I want to cover everything this game has to offer, as well as what it means to me. This isn't a review, it's more of an analysis of my overall experience. Considering that I know y'all don't want to see all of this, please skip to a timestamp on screen to skip to a part that you'd actually like to view. So with that said, I'd like to discuss my opinion of the game both pre-launch as well as how I formed my opinion of the game before I even played it, as until recently, that's all I had to go off with this game. Now honestly, pre-release, I really wasn't feeling this game. The gameplay looked like another run-of-the-mill Sonic game, while the avatar character that was announced that everybody was so hyped about looked like kind of a pace breaker, honestly. And I really didn't understand why Classic Sonic was back. Why are we doing the Generations thing again? I thought that game was supposed to be special. These were all questions that were rolling around in my head when I first saw that first awesome trailer of Project 2017. And unfortunately, nothing really grabbed at me from a gameplay standpoint while going through the months, watching and trying to find trailers and whatnot. The only thing that really grabbed me was what the story would possibly be about, with Eggman returning with all of these awesome villains and Discount Bowser, and you know, the game looked like it was going to have a darker tone. It was finally going to take itself seriously again. And as somebody whose favorite Sonic story was Sonic Adventure 2, where the game actually took itself seriously, I was so excited to see Sonic Team finally go in that direction again. And the months went by, the game came out, the reviews came out, and man, all I heard were feelings of apathy and disappointment towards the game. I'll put the videos that really helped me influence my opinion on this game pre-playing the game up on screen right now. Most notable would probably be Some Call Me Johnny's review of the game when it came out, as well as JebTube's retrospective, which, by the way, those channels are super underrated. You should go watch those. And yeah, just the game disappointed me from afar, and I didn't really know how to feel about it. And once I finally played the game a couple of weeks ago, the actual experience was worse than they could have ever explained. So to get into the actual game now, I'd like to begin with an analysis of the story, as it's one of the aspects of the game that got the most hype at the time of release. And I know y'all don't want to listen to this, so please, use those timestamps I gave you at the beginning of the video. So to go into the story, what we really need to do now is actually have to talk about the prequel comic that came out sometime before the North American release date. Despite this being a Sonic comic, I don't typically like having tie-in side material in my games, but most of the actual backstory for what happens in this game is in this comic for some reason, so bear with me. So one day after Eggman is having a real tough time inventing a new robot design, Orbot and Cubot alert him that there is a strange new stone that is sending weird signals. So Eggman just walks outside and picks it up. I mean, okay, I guess. It gives him visions of a rebuilt Eggman land, so he decides to run some experiments on it and calls it the Phantom Ruby. Suddenly, an emo goth gang tries to attack. As they attack, the leader strikes the Phantom Ruby while trying to kill Eggman, and it gives him visions of a world in ruins. This act of spunk, I guess, makes Eggman see something in this jackal here, in which he offers him a job to aid in destroying the world. And the dude just agrees, citing how he's grown tired of the world as it is. What makes him decide to do this? I don't fucking know, dude. I guess he's just a massive dick, I guess. This leads into the actual game itself, but now this forces me to talk about the DLC prequel short story featuring Shadow. It's a side story that gives Shadow his own little prequel story, as well as make him playable in some of Sonic's levels. Don't worry, it's over before you know it. Kinda like a whole lot of other things in this game. It starts out with Team Dark getting reports that Eggman is up to no good again, and after Omega stops responding to her text, Rouge sends Shadow to see what's up. I honestly really like how Team Dark is back to acting like they did in the Dreamcast days. Finally makes him worth a damn after about 10 years of being cheerleaders. Anyways, this leads to a confrontation between Shadow and Infinite. Infinite remarks how he's excited to face Shadow again, with Shadow saying he's never met Infinite in his life. This leads to a flashback where it's revealed that the Jackal from the prequel comic fought Shadow at one of Eggman's military facilities. After getting destroyed harder than a toilet at Chipotle, Shadow calls him pathetic and just leaves, leading to this glorious moment.
Pathetic? Me? He's calling me weak? No, I am not weak. I'm not weak. I am not weak.
After his little hissy fit over there, Infinite decides to hide his pathetic face and uses the Phantom Ruby as a catalyst for his new powers. Return to the present, Infinite taunts Shadow for a bit before leaving to launch an assault on Sonic. And then the DLC just kinda ends abruptly. Again, done before you know it. Though the backstory is mildly interesting, and the minor revival of Team Dark is in fact appreciated. Now, on to the game, folks. So, the game starts out with Tails and Sonic running past Green Hill, which is already sandy for some reason. I thought Eggman hadn't invaded yet. Whatever. Anyways, they finally get to the city that's being invaded by Eggman, and the scene starts out with Tails cowering in fear to Eggman robots? Okay. And then Sonic meets up with Eggman again, tries to attack him, gets slapped back by Infinite, and then the huge reveal that 4 of Sonic's worst enemies over the years have teamed up with Eggman somehow and are kicking the absolute shit out of him throughout this cutscene. Tails just kind of stands there, by the way. Oh, come on! You're really just gonna give me a blank text screen? Boo! So yeah, Sonic is presumed dead for 6 months as Eggman takes over the world, which is a major crock of shit as it implies that Sonic's friends couldn't deal with Eggman as a collective. Seriously, they have Shadow, who's supposed to be more powerful than Sonic. Remember, he's supposed to be the ultimate life form. Another character who's supposed to be equal to Sonic in the super strong Knuckles. Tails is a literal genius. Silver can move mountains with his mind. And that's not even a quarter of all the powerful characters I could mention. So you mean to tell me that they legit just did nothing for 6 months or that these hyper strong characters couldn't handle Eggman robots they could in previous games? Is Sonic really that much stronger than everyone else? And everyone else is just supposed to rely on him? You'll see later that I think the competence of many characters as we go on is very low, so bear with me. This leads into another cutscene in which the Resistance group is beginning a meeting. Everyone's all tuckered out from the long fight. Clearly it's taking a toll on all of our lovable personas. At this point, I was actually really intrigued on where the story was going to go. After getting past the whole lay down and die for 6 months vibe I get, this is where your avatar shows up and is introduced, by the way, as you get sent on your first mission as well. It's also mentioned that Tails has supposedly just lost it. Keep this in mind for later. And then it's just revealed that Sonic is alive and well. Okay then. So much for any payoff on the more somber tone this game is trying to give off. Rouge explains to the squad here that Sonic has been held captive in the Death Egg this whole time, and apparently has been tortured for 6 months. What's with this game flip-flopping with emotional tones? Oh, this leads to my favorite line ever, by the way, just for simply how poor it is.
The Death Egg? Oh man, that's not good.
None of this is good, Vector. That's why it's called war.
This game. After this, they plan to raid the Death Egg and save Sonic. Suddenly, cut to Tails. He's seen trying to fix Omega here. I wouldn't really say he's lost it in this scene, so this game can eat a bunch of shit because it's already confusing people. He seems more bummed out than anything because he broke his stupid little anime figurine and can't fix it. Then Chaos shows up and walks toward Tails menacingly, I suppose. Tails' response isn't to defend himself. No, rather it's to bend over, spread his ass, and cry out for Sonic. Okay, that is unacceptable. Ever since Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Tails was always supposed to be a shy kid who was the tech-savvy sidekick to Sonic the Hedgehog. In Sonic Adventure 1, he has an entire story arc in which he not only learns he needs to become more independent from Sonic, but he uses that growth to become a hero in his own right by saving Station Square from Eggman's nuke. He then overcomes this fear of the Doctor and beats him by himself. And the kick in the balls is that earlier in that particular story, Tails beats Chaos 4. You know, the version of Chaos that's supposed to be souped up on 4 Chaos Emeralds. And he's cowering to Chaos 0? Why? In Sonic Adventure 2, he practically leads the entire operation to take out the Space Colony Ark. He is also in a constant battle of genius with Dr. Eggman, creates a fake Chaos Emerald to trick Eggman into destroying the Eclipse Cannon, and whose first reaction to hearing Sonic getting locked up in Prison Island is to break his mech out and to raid a military base to break Sonic out of jail. And he cowers like a fucking pussy and cries out for Sonic? I thought he grew past this stage in 1998. This ain't no Tails I ever heard of, damn it. It infuriates me that these writers have turned a character that was once so beloved and endearing into this shell of himself, like he never grew in the first place. What a fucking insult. Tails gets what he wants though, because guess who comes to his aid, baby?
Sonic? You're alive!
Oh, no. So, yeah, Classic Sonic is here too.
Oh, you're that Sonic from another dimension, aren't you?
Wait, what? No, he's fucking not. Generations is canon, so he's just Sonic from the past. If he was really Sonic from another dimension, then that game's story makes no sense now. Why would Sonic and Eggman tell their past selves of their futures if they were from another dimension? And if modern Sonic has still experienced Sonic's 1 through 3 and Knuckles, then why would it even matter in the first place? It just shows how messy the game made the continuity of this series that was doing perfectly fine beforehand. Oh, and that's the last you see of Chaos, by the way. Not really. Just one bop on the head from classic Sonic, and he literally just fucks off for the rest of the game. No boss fight either, by the way. Which means he was here just to bait old fans into buying the game. Ugh, fine. The pair decide to team up and go investigate the weird shit that's going down with Eggman. Then we just cut to Sonic himself. Funny how he's supposed to be tortured for 6 months, yet when we see him next, Sonic is perfectly fine and acting like his normal self. So much for seeing how an interesting premise in which Eggman takes over the world would affect our main characters in any interesting way. Just more potentially great story elements wasted. Anyway, Zavok mocks Sonic for a bit. Sonic beats him, and Zavok just disintegrates? Huh, interesting. Is Sonic gonna comment how a main enemy just dematerialized right in front of him? No, he just kinda leaves. I swear, Sonic gets less and less aware of what's going on around him as each game goes on. How is he the guy that supposedly everybody relies on and can't live without for 6 months? Come on. This leads to a scene where your Avatar and Sonic link up, by the way. They're briefly introduced, and they get on a flying lunchbox back to headquarters. Later, they go raid one of Eggman's old military bases in this casino jungle? Oh, okay, then. Silver is already on the scene, though, and in an admittedly cool scene, is fighting Infinite. Sonic confronts Infinite, and despite kicking his ass in the actual boss fight, Infinite overpowers Sonic and has him dead to rights. This may be it for our hero. How will he get out of this situation? What's Infinite gonna do?
As I predicted, you're not even worth the effort to finish off.
What the fuck? Why does he just leave? This scene alone removes Infinite's intimidation factor as a villain due to flat out incompetence. I hate it in stories where a villain just leaves because the hero apparently isn't worth killing because they're so pathetic. At least Eggman has the excuse that he's savoring the defeat of his arch enemy, and he's known for not thinking plans through. It just makes everyone in this game look like a fucking idiot, man. Later on, Infinite and Eggman regroup. Eggman rightfully berates Infinite for just letting Sonic go, with his response pretty much being best summed up as, "Yeah man, I didn't think it was that big of a deal, so whatever." For some reason they decide to scream their plan to take over the world in 3 days, allowing an eavesdropping Tails and Classic Sonic to get the info. The two then go their separate ways, but Classic Sonic decides to hightail it and follow Dr. Eggman in Green Hill. Oh, okay. And anyways, after another nostalgia-pandering boss fight, Eggman says that he's gonna basically nuke the world in 3 days, and then just fucks off anyway. But not before Classic Sonic and Tails hear that Sonic may possibly be in the shitty casino forest level. Seriously, who designed that level? It looks so dumb. This is when your avatar is assigned a mission here, so naturally all 3 characters meet up at the same spot, because of course they do. This is also where the avatar finds a Phantom Ruby prototype, which Infinite dropped in the earlier boss fight, and they're basically mini Phantom Rubies that react to the will of the user before eventually destroying themselves. The next cutscene leads to this grand reunion between Sonic and Tails, and the rest of the Resistance for that matter. It has zero payoff at all, since both characters are just their regular selves and act like there isn't a war that's affecting them all. This is also the only time Classic Sonic is ever mentioned again. No, really, he's never spoken to again until the last cutscene. Can you tell he was shoehorned into this game last minute in order to appeal to older fans? Whatever. Later on, the group gets alerted to a shadow sighting. He's apparently causing harm to the civilians in City. Sonic meets up with him, and then the real Shadow shows up out of nowhere and roundhouse kicks that faker. He explains that Infinite's power is that he can create virtual copies of other people, allowing him to create an army of the strongest villains in the Sonic universe. Although they're only copies and they're not the real deal, hinting that they have no thought since the Shadow copy couldn't respond to Sonic's questions earlier. Which, okay, but then if Zavok was also a copy, then why did he talk? And by the way he was talking sounded like he wanted revenge, so what gives? This is never explained, by the way. These inconsistencies are so frustrating since they could so easily be fixed by simple writing fixes. Just make Zavok a mute in the boss fight. It's never mentioned that Infinite can recreate memories, so this Zavok interaction makes no sense now. Later, the boys decide that now was a good time to rush Eggman's forces in the city. This leads to one of my favorite little nuggets of info just before the stage starts.
Thought up this strategy in about a minute and a half. We're going in hard and fast. We're not gonna stop till Eggman's army is destroyed.
80% of our forces have been wiped out, and we've lost contact with the rest.
Interesting. Later, your avatar runs into Infinite. Cue the lame boss battle. When Infinite is getting ready to go in for the kill using his Phantom Ruby powers, the avatar's prototype protects him from the attack. Instead of attacking again, Infinite just wonders what the hell happened, despite seeing that the avatar has a Phantom Ruby prototype in his hand. He just decides to fuck off again. I mean, really, guys? He's just gonna leave again because the avatar is too pathetic to kill? I swear, this character is just so incompetent. Why would he let him go if he clearly has the ability to dodge his attacks? It's just so lazy. Well, after that little episode, the Resistance eventually creates a plan to take down the Death Egg, as it's a major source of the Phantom Ruby's power. And 5 stages later, they do so in this 2009 Flash animation. I mean, come on, guys, that looks like it was made on the Dreamcast. Next gen Sonic game, everybody. Anyways, after the Death Egg blows up, the crew decides to just invade Future City again, because that worked so well the last time, right? At least they go in assuming Infinite is out of commission due to eliminating the Phantom Ruby's power source. Sonic and Tails find Eggman, where he explains that the Phantom Ruby is still running strong. With this, Infinite shows up and creates a wormhole of Phantom Ruby energy that begins to suck Sonic in. Of course, your avatar comes in at the last second to try and help Sonic out, but the two get sucked in. Why didn't Tails help out since he is literally right there? Well, he gets shooed off by Sonic in an act to try and protect him. Boo! And does Tails try to retaliate after seeing his friends get sucked into a portal to another dimension? No, he just kinda leaves the scene. Well, okay then. So, you might be wondering how Sonic and the Avatar are going to get out of this situation. I mean, it's a whole dimension of a warped reality created by Infinite. This might get its own level. Look how cool everything looks. How are they gonna get out of this one? Oh, really? That's it? After building up this villain with cool dimension-ripping powers only to deal with it by straight up just leaving? It feels so rushed and out of place. Why even bother? Whatever. Well, the game decided it was time to wrap this shit up anyway, so here we go. The scene starts off with this lazy Newgrounds animation of the Resistance fighting the battle against thousands of copies of the strongest villains in Sonic history, which really goes to devalue all of the power that they actually have if all of these random OCs can take them on perfectly fine and not die instantly, but fine, whatever. Infinite decides now is a good time to call everybody a pathetic little cretin as well, Eggy Boy over here decides to explain how he's going to drop the sun on everybody. He's apparently going to do this by using the Phantom Ruby's power to create a fake sun, but since apparently it's so powerful, it can be projected as the real thing. So I don't know how Eggman and Infinite aren't gonna die in this as well, but wow, okay. This is the most evil thing Eggman has done in a long time. So how do you think the game resolves this dilemma? Well, Tails explains to the Avatar that the prototype they have directly reacts to the willpower of its user. The sun being a Phantom Ruby projection by Infinite may mean that the Avatar's prototype may just have what it takes to delete it from the sky. So then your Avatar just kinda does it. It does lead to his prototype Ruby being destroyed as a result as well. So yeah, that's a thing. This leads to Eggman yelling in disbelief on how this could have possibly happened, which is where Tails decides to butt in and brag about how he's the better scientist and does better research and whatnot. Which, fuck you, Tails, you didn't do shit all fucking story, but okay. Later, a confrontation with Infinite begins with Sonic. Eventually, the Avatar is brought into the mess as well, as the pair fight and defeat Infinite once and for all. This results in the most anticlimactic end to the boss fight, as Sonic gives Infinite this whole cringy power of friendship speech, and then Infinite just kinda leaves. Yeah, that's really the last you see of him. No fanfare or epic death. That motherfucker is on his union break and he is out of this game, homie. Okay, final boss time. Eggman gets in his new mech, the Death Egg robot? Wait, but oh my god. They really just recycled the name. There are even other Death Egg robots in this game. So what gives? He's also supposedly more powerful than Infinite now. So the Three Stooges all team up to fight Eggman, whose final form is... oh, fuck you, Sega. Anyways, with one final boost from Sonic, the Avatar, and... oh yeah, classic Sonic. Eggman is in fact no more. The final scene is of the Resistance regrouping and... oh my god. Classic Sonic is finally leaving! Thank God! He won't invade another latest Sonic installment stories, like an illegal immigrant jumping the border. He's finally gone! I'm so happy!
Cheer up, Tails. I'm sure we'll run into him again.
Fuck. Later, Sonic says that it's time to rebuild the world as they know it, and finally move on from the mess that Eggman has made. And after one final goodbye between the Avatar and Sonic, this shitty story finally comes to a close. Yeah, that's pretty much it. All in all, this story is ripe with missed potential. I can't bring myself to give a half shit about Infinite. He's honestly a massive dipshit, and he gets the most ass-pull ending in the whole game. He's not much more than the Deadly Six, villains who were already really boring characters. The side characters are all incompetent because of how the Eggman takeover is handled. And I know I've already screeched to the heavens about Tails, but I also really hate Sonic in this one. Every line he has is some form of no you level comedy that doesn't land unless you're 8 years old. This doesn't feel like the free spirit Sonic who cared about his friends and just wanted to save the world and have a good time. This is some 40-year-old trying to get down with the kids. Oh, and I'm sorry, but I'm just not a big fan of his voice direction.
No matter what, yeah?
This story isn't one worth telling. And they took an amazing premise for a story and do as little as possible with it. Fire the writers, now! Oh yeah, the gameplay. You know, the thing that you typically purchase a game for. I guess I should go ahead and start with Sonic. Oh my bad, y'all. Modern Sonic. I suppose that I'll talk about the control first. Now, while I don't think any of the Boost games ever had any particularly good controls, Sonic in this game feels incredibly stunted compared to previous games. No air dash, drift, and overall slower boosting for some reason. All of that on top of some of the most stiff control I've ever experienced in a platformer, which is contradictory to Sonic being overall slower in this game, which you'd think would make him better to platform with. Sonic has this weird jump arc that makes him feel incredibly heavy, leading to moments where easy jumps in previous games are now extremely precise. You basically can't change directions once you start a jump at higher speeds. And it's even worse considering his acceleration in this game is all types of wrong. He goes from 10 to 100 at the drop of a hat, making the bad jump physics I stated before artificially harder than it is due to bad controls. And going into stages and level design, just look at this. What's that? I grabbed the worst example? Okay, dude, how about we have a few more? Yeah, these stages are as restrictive and automated as they look. And they're really freaking short too, most of these stages being under 2 minutes for some reason. There are like 2 levels that are way better just for having 3D space, but that's hardly a compliment. The only level that's decent is Mortar Canyon. It has this really cool boost skip you can do at the start. It has diverging pathways, an okay boost section, and it's over. Yeah, the only Sonic level I like in this game is about a minute long. Boo! Let's talk about the avatar now. Now, the concept of the avatar to begin with was something that I was actually intrigued by pre-release. They would essentially be a Sonic without the boost, instead using cool new weapons powered by wisps. I was hyped to play this character until I actually did. In reality, this character suffers from really jank level design. I honestly believe he has Sonic's jump heft and momentum problems, but cranked up to 11. Seriously, every section of level that wants this character to go fast feels like going from first gear and skipping it directly to 7th in a sports car. The acceleration being worse means that all of the avatar's jumps feel less like controlled jumps and more like I press the A button and pray that the level catches me. I swear, sometimes it feels like I'm playing a Castlevania game, only moving at the fucking speed of sound. That's how little you can control your jumps as the avatar. Oh, and that weird homing attack that looked like a pace breaker before release? Yeah, it's a pace breaker that really makes the gameplay feel super herky-jerky. You get a sense that they really wanted to do more with the avatar, but what's here is just so bland and disappointing. I truly have nothing to say on him. That's really how little there is here. It is worth noting that a couple of levels in this game actually have Sonic and the Avatar teaming up. And I'm doing this completely unscripted, by the way. I did not write this in my script. And honestly, the only thing I have to say about those levels is just roll with Sonic. What it does is it basically combines each character's moveset. So if you press the trigger button, it'll switch to your avatar's wisp on. And if you boost, it switches to Sonic and all that jazz. But they're honestly nothing special. And a lot of bad design comes from those levels as well, because each one of those has this double boost feature that you just mash the square button or the X button, depending on which console you're on, and do this stupid ass boost. It's really dumb, and it makes replaying the levels really not that fun because I have to sit through a bunch of garbage just to get to the actual level. And that's not to mention all of the stupid QuickTime events that both the Avatar and normal Sonic go through. And it just makes replaying these levels so incredibly unfun. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on the Avatar and modern Sonic. This just leaves us with... oh god damn it. Classic Sonic. Did they at least do anything interesting with him? No. Okay, is this at least as fun to play as Generations? No. In fact, this is the most bastardized version of classic Sonic gameplay I've ever played. He has literally no sense of momentum at all in this game. Check out this clip in Chemical Plant. I go down this huge slope at the beginning of the level to gain some really cool momentum so I can launch myself off this ramp and... Wait, what? Oh, okay, maybe that was just on me. Let's try that again. Wait, what? What the fuck? Why isn't he moving at all? Why can't he fucking get up this ramp? He should be able to get up, no biggie, with a massive slope preceding it. Classic Sonic's controls are the worst in the game. Fucked up momentum, jumps that feel like casting a 500-pound lure into a pond, and most suspiciously, I think there's a ground speed cap in this game. Not really. Every time I get moving at high speeds as him, this game literally slows him down in an instant. Just because you were going fast. I mean, come on. I hate classic Sonic's levels with a fucking passion. He is the absolute worst part of this game, and just shows how Sega was so incredibly out of touch when creating this character. What a fucking disappointment. Well, I don't know why you would want to play more of this shite game, but it's worth noting that there's a huge chunk of extra levels you can unlock. You can get these by collecting the 5 red star rings in each level. The more you collect, the more levels you unlock. These stages themselves, though, yeah, they're pretty much like the shorter levels in Sonic Colors and the extra missions in Sonic Generations. They're boring, simple, and really fucking short. I mean, yeah, they're harmless, but really, these are your rewards for going for 100%? It's also noteworthy that you get new clothes and accessories for your avatar by collecting the red star rings. I didn't know where else to talk about this, so I guess I'll talk about the character customization here. It's sorta got depth, with tons of shirts and hats and whatnot, but it's not as fleshed out as I would have liked. For example, you can't just change the color of certain clothes. What you unlock is the only color you get, meaning that each specific thing you unlock is its own color, leading to shoes and hats that would look cool on my character if I could just edit them as I pleased. The glasses and hats look really off too, with them sort of floating in front of your character rather than actually looking like they're wearing each accessory. Oh, and no adjustment of glasses sizes either, so you're gonna wear this oversized pair of shades and you're gonna fucking like it. Overall, I'm glad this customizer's here and all, and you can see that it's one of the few things that they put effort into in this game, but even then, it just feels so undercooked, and it feels like it could be so much more if there were just more options. It's got potential, but it was disappointing on its first run. Oh, and by the way, you can't even name your character. Lame. Well, y'all can tell I hate the gameplay. The side content is lame, and the story is about as bad as having my prostate examined. So, is there anything in this game worth experiencing? Oh right, the music! It's a time-honored tradition that Sonic games continue the legacy of having some of the most god-tier music in gaming. So how does Forces fare in this department? Pretty lame, dog. Pretty lame. To start, I don't like the instruments used in most of these songs, with all of them being some sort of whining guitar synth with the occasional electric guitar. It gets grating sometimes, and it's really uninteresting. Now, something that I do appreciate is that each character has their own genre of music, which is something I love because of obvious reasons. But it's kind of wasted pretty hard. Let's start off with Sonic. Almost all of his levels' music is this generic action music that is just straight out of a C-tier anime. Just have a listen. Yeah, it's pretty meh. And most of Sonic's music is like that, unfortunately. Classic Sonic, on the other hand, oh boy. Yikes, that is awful. Maybe it's not all bad. Wow, game, you really couldn't throw this poor guy a bone, could you? Yeah, classic Sonic's music is this stereotype Genesis twang type bullcrap that's incredibly grating to listen to. It's very clear that they were incredibly out of touch when creating this music, and it baffles me that they didn't get some of Sonic Mania's music team going on this. It's just so confusing. 3 words. Fuck you, Sega. Now how about the Avatar's music? 'Cause he's the last character we got to talk about. And actually, the Avatar's music is actually pretty good. I love the return of vocal themes, especially in levels. And the whole hip-hop DDR thing going on is fun to run through in these levels.
We can't let evil win and take them out. This is justice, this is what's right. Here comes the enemy, mess them up.
As for the rest of the songs outside of the main levels, again, they're really generic and uninspired, with very few exceptions. Those exceptions being, 1, the main theme called Fist Bump. And after, it being really phoned in throughout the levels, listening to the whole thing through, it's actually pretty cool. And I think I mentioned Infinite's theme before, but if I didn't, it's this perfect Sonic cheese that I always loved out of the adventure theme songs. And while we're on that subject, let's talk about the rest of the presentation, actually. This game is definitely a step up visually from previous games in terms of hardware, but unfortunately it's wasted on this really plain and boring art design to the point where it almost looks cheap. And that's a shame considering the game has some beautiful lighting as well as character modeling. I really wish we could see Sonic Team attempt a new art direction to really take advantage of current gen hardware. On the subject of characters, let's look a bit more general on the voice acting. Yeah, I know no one fucking cares, but I think really good voice acting can really add to a script when it's done very well and really elevate a player's experience. Does Sonic Forces accomplish that? No. Every line that comes out of these characters' mouths feels so incredibly forced, like they're all reading aloud to the class or something. I appreciate the more serious take on Knuckles for once in the past 10 years, but he ends up just sounding out of it for the whole game. Can I just say that about everyone in this game, actually? Amy's voice has really cemented the increasing feeling over the years of her turning into this discount Minnie Mouse. Rouge just sounds awful and is nothing compared to her previous voice actress, and the rest of the characters just feel off too. It really feels like these folks are just some actors paid to voice some characters in some game. I miss the emotional voices of the Dreamcast era. Hell, I miss a handful of the 4Kids voice actors too. Just another disappointment that makes this game feel so incredibly soulless, man. And yeah, that's kinda it. This game is really that short of a ride. Again, going back to the stream I did a couple of weeks ago, it's literally just a 2 to 3 hour experience where I'm only having fun in extremely short bursts. The only time I'm having fun in this game is when these stages end, and that's only for like 2 or 3 stages. The rest of the game is so boring, incredibly undercooked, or in the case of the story, just straight up fucking pissed me off. It's very clear to me that Sonic Team tried to play it super safe with this game, with all these elements that are either incredibly watered down trends of the industry, or just old Sonic tropes that are even more dead than Jeffrey Epstein. It's like Sonic Team is still afraid of Sonic 06, and that is an absolute shame. I mean, come on guys, Sonic 06 came out, oh god, 14 years ago. I'm so tired of praising the latest games because they're not broken messes. Wow, I can run in a straight line again. What a fucking compliment. Sonic didn't become a rival to Super Mario for just okay and not broken games. He didn't become one of the most beloved video game characters for his constant "your mom" level one-liners every single time he opens his mouth. He's Sonic the goddamn Hedgehog, and he's done so much better than this. To see a franchise that I've been a die-hard fan of since I was 4 years old in the state that it is now, it's so disappointing. And the culmination of the past 10 years of frustrating mediocrity is Sonic Forces, a game in which I truly expected nothing, and I came out with immeasurable disappointment. Thank you all for watching, have a nice day, and stay safe.